How are we doing, everybody? Thank you very much for joining us here for the Ravori Sports Podcast here. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. Tonight, we're doing our Ravori Sports Conversation. Definitely check out all of our social media platforms that we have. YouTube, just over now 100 on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch, etc. So thank you, all of you, for out there that have done it. Genesis Notary Services, definitely just got finished from a notary appointment. Thank you very much for everybody here in the Winchester, Virginia area that have gone ahead and helped us with that as well. See, Charles Harris, we are LegalShield.com. If you need Legal Shield, definitely you can go to our website or go to Harris Legal Shield. Definitely on Facebook. All right, and we're going to bring in our special guest for the Ravori Sports Conversation, who needs, though ever a term that needs no introduction. All of you recognize this guy. This guy is the OG of the Oriole pocket. You know, when I was in high school years ago, Baltimore City College, I learned the term OG. You know what that means, original gangster. So yes. 14 years we were talking about it, how he's been podcasting every week for the Orioles. And I'm serious when I say every week. These guys never miss a week, never miss a show, ever, even in the winter or summer like that. They're every week consistent.
We try.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, new episode coming out tomorrow of Section 336.
Thank you, sir, for joining us here today. So we appreciate it as well. So we got interesting times here in Baltimore, right? We got a new Ravens. We got a new Ravens head coach, and we got a new Orioles manager. I can't remember a time where we had both at the same time like this as well. So Craig Abernath is the new manager for the Orioles as well. After finally getting rid of Brandon Hyde, Tony Manzolino not there. What do you think so far? What's your first impression of the new skipper as well, and what you've seen of him as well? This is his first time as manager.
That Brandon Hyde needs to be fired. I was happy to see that done last year. So first impressions are spring training starts this week. So I can't wait to see him out there and start to make that first impression. As far as I'm determined, he seems like when you talk about baseball guy, he looks like the baseball guy. I'm just glad it's not Brandon Hyde, and it's time for this guy to prove to me that it was Hyde screwing up lineups, it was Hyde screwing up bullpen management, and that it can be done better.
Interesting to see, too, for me, like how much Michael Elias was I always thought that was funny, kind of like similar to the John Harbaugh situation, how Eric DeCosta kind of got off scot-free there. Kind of the same with the baseball side. Kind of like, you know, there really wasn't the heat on Michael Elias. He actually is going to get a general manager underneath of him, even after all of this. So, how much do you think Elias had involved with a lot of the lineup card and all that other stuff as well?
You know, I always thought Elias was medical department was heavily involved, but when Hyde got fired and Tony Massinelli took over, we instantly saw Kobe Mayo get regular playing time, and we saw Jackson Holliday play every day. And we saw that one of the first things that Tony did was go to Jackson Holliday and say, we're done with these splits. And that tells me that Brandon Hyde had the ability to do that if he wanted. So where I in the past had always blamed Michael Elias, I'm willing to put it all on Hyde now and let's start over.
Because that's not what you do.
Also, too, he was the one that didn't get fired. So if it was him, right, he had a chance to capitulate me. Like maybe, okay, this didn't work. Maybe I shouldn't be, or maybe I should allow the manager to do a little bit more as well. New coaching staff, new pitching staff. I mean, for a lot of part, they did keep Buck Britton, which I was happy about. They did Drew French, I think it is, but a whole new crew as well. How do you think did he really have a choice in his own staff. It wasn't in his hands. I know we're in 2026 and the corporations and all that other stuff. But do you think that, okay, they went to him and said, okay, you're going to choose whoever you want your staff, or was that handheld as well, do you think?
No. I think the staff is always, I think the staff, you have to give the manager that control. So that is the manager 100%. We saw that with Hyde by who he would choose as bench coach and stuff. He chose friends. I think the fact that Buck Britton is still on this team specific, I know Drew French also, but Buck Britton, remember, Buck Britton came up with these guys through AA, through AAA. No coach has the relationship with these players that Buck Britton has. So I think when you present that to even the new manager and when you present that to Craig, I think it's even obvious to him, well, I should keep Buck Britton around because he knows these guys. He knows how to speak to them.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, because he was the manager when these guys were in AA, single A, etc. So he's kind of grown.
Correct.
They've all kind of grown together
Now,
as well.
Now that's why I wanted Buck as manager, but it's not how things worked out. I'm glad he's still in the organization.
Absolutely. What is your read on Mike Elias? I can't read him at all, Josh.
Right.
I don't know what to. Everything he says is double speak to me. Like when he talks about anything, he's never committal. Somebody asked him about Heston Kjerstad. Well, it's a medical issue, can't get in. Well, he's like very political. A lot like Bud Selig used to be. Remember, like the commissioner. Selig would never say anything. What's your take on Elias overall?
I think the easy take on Mike Elias and the easy way to explain how Mike Elias answers every question, how Mike Elias makes every move, is he believes he is smarter than everyone else. He believes he knows how to construct a team better than anyone else. You talk about the Moneyball era and stuff. He thinks he knows all this better, which is why I think this past offseason, there was a lot of pressure put on him of, hey, we've got money, go out and spend it. Because I think Mike Elias, in his heart of heart, wants to prove that he can put together a winning baseball team without spending money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Pete Alonso signing specifically was Mike Elias is under pressure. And he has to do something, and he did.
You can't blame Brad Hyde anymore. Whether he was wrong, whether that was the correct move or not, you don't get to blame that now. And kind of like the football scenario, everybody wanted to fire John Harbaugh. Now you got your wish. Now you can't. That's gone now, as well. Elias, I just don't know, man. Baseball people really seem to like him. Really seem to. I don't hear around in other circles, baseball circles, where they say that Elias isn't the guy or whatever. I mean, they always speak good, especially on MLB Network. Whenever I watch that, they always speak well about him. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm not one to throw Elias out. I think Elias is a fine GM. I did not like that we gave Elias all this glory from day one and praised this man. It's like, prove it. Show me that you are this guy, because I have not seen you take us to that next level yet. And I don't like the attitude of staying competitive and then get lucky. That's what did John Harbaugh in. That's what the Ravens do all the time. But then they're not able to complete it. I feel like with Michael Elias, it's the same thing. Prove to me that you can win the World Series. Then we can praise you as this amazing GM. You haven't done it yet. Let me see it happen.
I agree with that. But you touched on it already. Let's talk about Pete Alonso. This was unexpected. My commentary on it, honestly, it should be more Oriole centric. I'm still in shock that the Mets let him go. I really am. This was a guy, all-time guy for them. Looking at what he signed for, I don't understand why they wouldn't keep him. But he's here in Baltimore. I think this is the biggest free agent signing offensive, I mean, we might have ever had. I can't remember one better than this. Maybe Rafael Palmeiro,
No.
possibly
This is
at some point, but this is I can't remember them taking a big time player off a New York team and them going to Baltimore in their prime. I don't remember.
No. This has never happened. You'd have to go back to like maybe the Frank Robinson move. We're bringing Frank to Baltimore, and that got us a World Series instantly. Pete Alonso, everyone focused on the Orioles need pitching, the Orioles need pitching, the Orioles need pitching. But what we didn't talk about is that last year, the most frustrating thing about the Orioles was their lack of scoring runs. That we had this team of young stars, and they could not put runs together. They would leave men on base. In all of baseball, they were 24th in runs scored. That's not acceptable. And when you watch those games as a fan, there were many times where you were like, we're in this game if we can get a run or two. And those runs would never come. So adding Pete Alonso to your lineup, whether he bats third or fourth, wherever you put him in this lineup, instantly makes everyone around him better because of that protection factor. And suddenly you've got a guy that you can trust. They hit the long ball to get the runs in. It completely changes the dynamic of this team.
You talking about making everybody else better. Gunnar Henderson.
Yes.
I'm more of the thought last year that Gunnar was a down year for Gunnar.
It did come out that he was hurt. It did come out some shoulder issues.
Yeah. Kind of got off to a late start. Offense overall wasn't as good around him as well. But I think this helps him more than anybody, right? He hasn't really had this. A guy who really able to protect him in the lineup. I mean, you put Alonso ahead or behind Gunnar Henderson as well. Do you see a big bounce back for Gunnar this year as well? I think he has a huge bounce back.
I see a huge bounce back for Gunnar. I see a huge year from Westberg as long as he can stay healthy. Westberg's biggest problem has been health. If he can stay healthy, a big year from him, and then we get another year of Jackson Holiday, there's going to be growth there. And you're going to have Pete Alonso. He's going to bat third or fourth, which means you're going to have Gunnar around him, Holiday and Westberg all up in there with that Pete Alonso protecting him. Not to mention the leadership and seniority of Pete Alonso. It's going to make the entire lineup better. We have a great lineup, 1 to 9 when you lay it out now. And it's amazing how much of a difference adding 2 bats does to your lineup with Alonso and Ward.
Taylor Ward is another one, and I was just about to bring up Taylor Ward. Before Ward, Grayson. They just gave up. They stopped believing in Grayson. You see this now when they brought players in. They've traded away DL Hall. Now you could argue whether that's been good or bad, but you gave up Grayson. You haven't had a lot of great pitching prospects. Jackson Burmester, I think, was one. So you're giving up pitching prospects, and you gave up on a guy with Grayson. What exactly happened with him last year? Like, it was weird.
It's always.
Go ahead.
So here's the deal. It always comes down to health, and there's always going to be this conflict with health of how much the work the player is putting in to bounce back. And if he's not motivated to bounce back, if he feels like he's got to protect himself versus put out for the team, you're going to have this conflict between playing for self, playing for team, rehab, bouncing back, doing what the doctors say. There's always going to be this conflict if you guys disagree. And I think Grayson Rodriguez, behind the scenes, my guess is they ran into some conflicts there with getting him back and personality issues. And then that led to, well, I don't know if Grayson's ever going to be healthy in this organization. What he needs is a change of scenery. And I wish all the best for Grayson. Grayson could not stay healthy in Baltimore. And the truth is, by trading him away, we got a good outfielder that's going to help us. And then we signed Shane Baz, who is about the same level as Grayson. Grayson has the potential to be a Cy Young superstar. He's never been able to put it together. We'll see if he ever does.
Well, what was even weirder about Grayson, Tyler Wells missed a lot of last year. We were hearing injury reports and same with Albert Suarez, et cetera, injury reports. Really, there was nothing said about Grayson doing anything. Well, he's about to get ready. Well, he's about to get ready. It was so you're definitely saying there was conflict behind closed doors with Grayson and the Orioles.
That is my understanding. I don't have the facts in the news articles to post it, but as you mentioned, we get the updates with Felix Bautista now. We got the updates with Wells. We got the updates with Cobb Radish last year as he came back. And with Grayson, it was always weird and no one wanted to talk about it, which tells me there's a conflict going on there with the player. Different than there's two players that Mike Elias would never give updates for, and that was Heston Kjerstad and Grayson Rodriguez. And Grayson Rodriguez was much weirder than Kjerstad. We at least got some heart issues and some medical stuff we got early on with him, so we knew that was a recurrent thing. Grayson was the reason I take away there's a personality conflict and a disagreement is because Mike Elias always talked like he was expecting Grayson to be back in 2 weeks, and then Grayson would never come back. So that tells me someone's not on the right page, and I don't think it's Mike Elias.
Yeah. Heston Kjerstad, I think that was non-baseball stuff with him. He's had a couple, even before he got to the majors, he had non-baseball injury that caused him. Yeah. So I think that was why they didn't talk about that as much, because it had nothing to do with, There was an article many years ago that he got that was written, and it's been taken down and up and down, that he had like a myocarditis issue that might have been vaccine related during the whole pandemic thing. And I read that article and I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. But then it also adds to this whole fear of people wanting to talk about it. But I don't know. Yeah. I know he has a medical health issue. I definitely understand it. I definitely understand it in his,
It's not a baseball injury. That's the big difference. Yeah, not a baseball injury. That's the big difference with two.
The guy that we got back, Taylor Ward, I think is enormously underrated as a player. Tremendous power. I think totally. He had 36 home runs. I think he's a very good outfielder, not a high average hitter. So a lot of guys like Brian Kenny, the sabermetric guys, maybe you don't like a Taylor Ward, but I think to get this guy, and now he's in a position with Henderson here and Pete Alonso here, he could just come in, maybe hit the fifth spot, maybe hitting without pressure as well. What do you think of Taylor Ward and what you've seen of him?
I think Taylor Ward is the perfect Anthony Santander replacement. I see it the same type of bat. I see him not being the star of the team, but I see him as your 5-6 hole guys. Take some pressure off. We talk about how Alonso's taking pressure off of Gunnar and the top of the lineup. Ward will take some pressure off of a Colton Cowser, off an Adley Rutschman, and that second half of the packed up side of the lineup.
30 home runs, both guys, Alonso and Ward, do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
And one last guy I really want to touch on the offensive side when you talk about Jordan Westburg. I think you said it a little bit already, but Jordan Westburg, I think, is an all-star player. The only thing he does wrong is the fact that he gets injured quite a bit. Is he capable of that? Is he a Mike Marshall? Like maybe, I don't know, remember back in the day, Mike Marshall would seem like he was always on DL, right? Back in the day for the Dodgers. I'm praying that that's not the case, because I really don't see the reason why he's on the DL as well. But Gordon Westbrook can hit, and I think he's very good defensively.
I think it's been a lot of bad luck with Westberg on the injuries. I don't see him doing something wrong that's causing these injuries. I see it's just bad luck. So I think they'll work on strength and stuff during this offseason to try to avoid some of that. But Westberg's the guy who, if there's a runner on base, Westberg's the guy I've always wanted in the past. He's the guy. Now you got Alonso, but he's a double machine. He's going to knock runs in. He gets the RBIs. I love Westberg. I think he's the most, when you talk about baseball guys, he's the reliable guy that I can trust. He's my number 2, my number 3 hitter if not leadoff. So, no, I love Westberg. I expect Westberg to have a huge year. Again, I think Alonso into this lineup and Ward in this lineup takes the pressure off of everyone, so everyone can now relax a little at the plate and not press so much.
I don't think there's any question if the offense is going to be much improved. I think defensively you've gotten better as well with Taylor Ward, Alonso, etc. Rotation: Trevor Rogers, Kyle Bradish, Zach Eflin, which I'm surprised they signed him back. Shane Baz, definitely a very good prospect one time in the Rays organization. And you still have Dean Kramer. Enough or not enough? And Tyler Wells, yeah.
I had this discussion with my brother today. I can totally justify running with these guys, and I love this rotation. Would I like an ace? Yes, of course. I would have loved to have a big name. Do we have enough potential to still make a trade? Yes, we do. We've got Mountcastle without really a slot. We got Mayo without really a slot. We've got minor league guys. We've got people that we could move to make a trade. So I wouldn't be surprised if we still make an acquisition. But I'm also comfortable with Rogers and Bradish and Baz and Kramer and Wells and Cade Povich looked good. Zach Eflin, I don't know his health. I think he's coming back from injury, so that might be an issue. But I'm not looking for Eflin to be my ace. I'm looking for him to be like a 3, 4, 5 slot. I love that. Love that situation. The only question I have with the rotation is, can Bradish and Rogers do what we saw them do last year? And Bradish, what we saw him do before the injury continue. Those guys are outstanding. Those guys can make a push on their own. And when you know what it is, that you have offense, you're scoring runs, that makes all your pitchers relax and do better. The big thing for this team this year is they're going to be able to relax because everything's improved and they don't have to feel like it's all up to them. This isn't the Baltimore Ravens back when the defense would have to carry the team and just hope the offense didn't give the ball up. This is an Oriole team that is improved on offense, improved in pitching, and we'll see what happens. I know the whole AL East has improved outside of the Rays, but the Orioles are going to be an exciting team.
Didn't get Valdez, which surprised me a little bit, considering what he signed for. Zach Gallen is still out there. Lucas Giolito is still out there as well. Don't know if they're going to sign those guys. I want to talk about Rogers, though, real quick.
Yeah.
I don't get a sense there's a belief that this was for real last year with Rogers. I see it a lot, like little undertone of Bradish is your number one guy and all that, etc. I think Trevor Rogers was just about unhittable last year. I can't think of a head he put together a whole season. It was are we going to get the same Rogers? Not as good in the last 2 starts, but where do you have with Rogers as well? Because he was unbelievable last year.
Rogers would have been in the Cy Young conversation last year if he started earlier in the season. Rogers was unbelievable. Everything Rogers did last year, he deserves to get the opening day start based on last year. He should be that number one guy, especially for the home opener. Let everyone thank him for how much fun it was to watch him pitch last year. I have seen enough to think that Rogers can do it again. But again, it's a show me, it's a prove it to me situation. I all season kept saying, well, Rogers, the balloon's going to pop on Rogers. It never did. And he went far enough to prove that he can pitch that way for real. So unless he tries to put on too much weight this offseason or change something up, if he just does what he did last season, it works for me. And as far as Bradish is outstanding. Bradish, if we had Rogers pitching the way he pitched last year and we had Bradish for the entire season, not just September, it would have been a different season.
That if you talk about deserve, if we're using that word, right, he deserves the number one starter spot, the opening day. Yes. But do you think that Bradish is better when we're in October, when we're in September, etc., like that? Does he have a better season, you think?
I love that you're asking about October ball because we haven't had every time we've gotten to October ball in the past, it's been we're there, but who's going to pitch? We don't have a pitcher. And now we've got two guys that are legit. Like, let's give them the big game. Let's give them the ball. I think at the moment, Bradish has a better track record. But what I saw from Rogers last year is Cy Young material. So it's going to be interesting to see and exciting to have both of them out there playing starting the season.
One other thing as well. Ron Halsey's going to be the closer again. He's going to go ahead and be the guy in the ninth inning. Excellent, I think, signing a guy with a lot of experience in the ninth inning for the Orioles. You get back Andrew Kittredge almost immediately after the season as well. I think Keegan Aiken's going to be in the late innings. I thought the bullpen last year after the trade deadline much better than I thought it was. How do we look right now in the bullpen, even though you just moved Stroud?
Yeah, the bullpen is the thing that makes me laugh because outside of closer, they could be lined up so many different ways. We talked about Wells in the rotation. Wells' fastball impresses me so much. I love the idea of Wells in the 7th, 8th as a setup guy. We still got Cano. Cano had a rough year last year, but if he can bounce back, he's an amazing setup guy. So that 6, 7, 8 guys shortens the ball game. If we've got a starting rotation that can get in 6 innings, and then we've got Cano or Wells to go to, or Aiken, and so many other guys before we get the close, then I'm pretty happy with the bullpen. I just don't know who's going to be in there because I see so many people that could fit this mold.
I agree with you. I think Aiken can close. I think the whole season. Not Mariano Rivera by any stretch, but can do it. So can Kittredge as well. But I like that they went and signed somebody. I do. I like that they not signed Halsey as well. Go ahead.
I do, and I like that they did it for like 1 year plus an option, I believe it is, because they made it clear, like, hey, Batista's still our guy, but you're going to carry us over because Batista can't come back till maybe August.
You think he pitches for the Orioles again? You think he's coming back and is going to be in the ninth inning? I'm not convinced at this point. You think the Orioles are convinced? I don't know.
I think Batista pitches playoff baseball in Baltimore this year. I think they pulled back on it this past season. I think they get him ready by the end of August. He pitches a little September. We roll into the playoffs with Batista. I think he's a lights out guy.
Is he the ninth inning guy when he returns?
100%. Yes. Okay. Play the Omar whistle. Let him run out there.
Yeah, the Omar whistle and all that, and the lights out, and it's a cool closer.
He's your guy.
Yeah, I'm surprised we've never done that before downtown. We haven't had a great closer entrance. We haven't had a lot of great closers. Greg Olson and Tippy, and we haven't had a whole lot of that.
No, we haven't had it.
Teams have been.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you a little bit, right? Section 336 is I've said it, the OG pod. We're talking about a pre-show, the OG podcast of it as well. You guys never miss a show. You guys are always talking about the Orioles as well. What is the main thing that's kept y'all in it so long? I mean, as far as that goes, you've seen a lot of them come and go. So have I. What is your guys' love? Where does the love of the game come from, you guys?
Oh, you talked about bleeding orange. That's my family. We were raised like Orioles all the time, like emotions focused around the Orioles, winning, losing, Orioles. It's been Orioles, and it's how I relate with my dad and my brother. Section 336, my co-host is my brother, Matt, and it's what we relate. We text nonstop about sports, but especially the Orioles and the Ravens. And we were named Section 336 because we had season tickets in Section 336 since the mid-90s. 96, I think we had them there. this is what we do. It's how we bond. We talk. We watch every game together. We all live all over the country now, but we still text and FaceTime during the games. So it is the Orioles is really the love of the Orioles is so much ingrained into my life and my family that that's the bond that keeps us together. That it doesn't matter what the team does, win or lose, we'll be back there the next day.
Yeah, I don't know how old you are, but like if you're my age, like I'm of the era of the 80s and the early 90s before we had Ravens. If you lived in Baltimore like I did,
Yes.
that was it, right? There
Oh,
was no football, there was no NBA, we would just wait for the Orioles season. If you listen to WBAL and WCM
Yes.
or whatever else, they just talk Orioles all year long. And so I understand how that can be ingrained in you. That kind of changed obviously when football started.
Exactly. I'm 46 years old. I grew up in Rosedale in Baltimore County, raised to hate everything Washington because they won't let us get a football team. The Colts left and the Redskins are blocking. So I remember being 12 when the Redskins won the Super Bowl, and someone gave me a Super Bowl Nerf football for my birthday, and we quickly destroyed that football because it had the Redskins logo on the side. We were raised Baltimore sports, Baltimore sports, Baltimore sports, and for us and our childhood, that was the Orioles. That meant going to the Sandlot and pretending you're Mickey Tettleton, pretending you're Cal Ripken, Steve Finley, Mike Devereaux. Those were my guys.
Mickey Tettleton. That's the right name right there. I used to love Mickey Tettleton. He couldn't struck out all the time. But man,
Yeah.
he would like that's plate presence. Whatever
Yes.
he had. Like back when 26, 27 home runs, and that would work.
Yeah.
Favorite year for me, baseball, 1989. The why not?
Of course. And
to this day.
I tell people all the time, that's when I was 9 years old. 8 and 9 is when I think as a kid you fall in love with baseball. That I had the Orioles and they lost a ton. So that 89 season coming back right at that 9-year-old age to fall in love with baseball and go down to Memorial Stadium, that was it for me. That's where it all clicked, and that's where I haven't looked back since that 89 why not year.
You've worked with, I've watched your podcast a many times. You've worked with a lot of the Baltimore sports radio people, like over time. I've seen you a lot of either had them in guest capacity or been on the show or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they're missing the mark? You don't have to pick out anybody. I don't want you to call anybody out in particular. But do you feel like they're missing? Oh, okay.
If you want to talk about guys that missed the mark. That's
well.
Yes.
Well, no, I don't mind talking about it, but like I didn't know if you knew guys. Like sometimes it's difficult.
No,
Jason Lockenford has really gotten big to me.
Yes,
like
Nestor's
the guy people pick on, but he's kind of always been like that. Like,
he's always been that way.
Lockenford, what's happened to him? In general,
Lockenford has become a joke. No, if you want to, the Baltimore sports guys that I praise is the Jeremy Kahn and the Glenn Clark. And those are guys who are fans and understand the fan and can relate to the fan and feel it. When the Orioles win, lose, those guys understand what that means to the city. Scott Carceau was one of my favorite all the time because he's a little older, but he also embodied that fanhood. And I think, unfortunately, the way sports radio changes and stuff is it becomes more about the job, or it becomes about a stepping stone to that next place. So I always lean on, those are the two shows I listen to, Glenn Clark Radio, and then whenever Jeremy Kahn's on Big Bad Morning Show, whatever they're moving them to, that's what I check out.
Do you have more designs in that area as well, as far as that to have, I know you have other business in radio besides the Orioles podcast. I'm understanding it, if I'm following it correctly. So do you have more designs for Section 336 or anything else, or those Orioles vehicles as far as that goes as well? Where do you see it going?
Section 336 is going to stay where it is. It's a passion project. It's never been something we've tried to make money off of. It's always been a passion about being fans, and we need to express that. I have other outlets. I'm the on-air producer of the Mike O'Mara Show, which is a daily just comedy talk podcast. And that's a whole lot of fun. And that's every day. But that's like we cover topics nationwide and stuff. Where Section 336 is that's my passion about the Baltimore Orioles. And that's my chance to get on, complain, rant, and all that. What you're going to see is you're going to see more of me using like a TikTok type forum to get more of that ranting and complaining out is where I'll end up going and growing 336.
Let's talk about what I saw last year. You have been a season ticket holder, you said, for 30 years, right? That's
yes.
right. Before last year. And you had the Baltimore special 13 game package. So you don't live in Baltimore anymore, but you would go on Sunday and go to the games. And now they've moved the package around and you stopped your tickets, right? You're no longer in the Section 336.
It hurts. It really does hurt. This is my first season in 30 years without season tickets. I had season tickets. I moved to Florida 6 years ago. I still kept my season tickets, and I would just rearrange the tickets to come up and hit 3-4 games at a time, come back, go back up. I still plan to do that. I still come up because it's in my blood. I have to go to Camden Yards. It's like going to church for me. I got to go see the team. So I plan to just keep it, but they changed things. They really decided they didn't care about the fans. They made the packages bigger. I didn't care. When the Orioles were good before, I got 25 tickets. I'd go 30 games a year. It's all fine. But then they started bullying around and they want to, okay, well, if you're going to have this smaller package, you're stuck in this thing and we're going to increase the price to this. And you've been in 336 for 30 years, but now we're going to move you to 340 something, row like 13 instead of we're 336 row 3, have been forever. So it's not the money that bothers me, it's how they treated the fans. And how it's like, we're going to move you just because you need to spend more money with us if you want the seats that you've had for 30 years. And to me, that all rubbed everyone the wrong way. So I made some TikToks. They did go a little bit viral in Baltimore, got a lot of attention. I got a call from the vice president of Orioles business or something. I don't remember his exact title. But he was like the finance guy, and he tried to reason with me and explain why they were making these changes. And I told him,
I remember the video.
I told him none of these changes make sense. Even you telling me this, the only thing that makes sense is the dollar line. And the truth is, that doesn't even make sense because you're pushing people away. And he said, all right, well, and he wanted to buddy me and said, well, here's my number. Call me anytime, whatever. So I made another video and I trashed him specifically and his boss. And that thing blew up.
Why did you trash him? That's kind of a question I want. Why did you trash him after that? Did you feel it was just a disingenuous exchange?
It was a disingenuous exchange where he had wanted me to go back on TikTok and tell everyone that, hey, I talked to this guy. We had a great conversation. And he wanted me to then sell it to you and other people watching why this was good for Baltimore baseball. And it's not good for Baltimore baseball. It's not good for the fans. And so that's why I went and said, all right, I'll make a second video because he's been calling for it, but I'm not praising and sucking up to him. But I'll tell you what it turned out to. It turned into me being asked to send my resume to the Baltimore Orioles and me getting an interview with the creative director because I'm my type of work, where I interviewed for a position that would basically and manage and make a lot of decisions and manage everyone who designs billboards, graphics, magazines, anything with the Orioles logo. I ended up losing out to a guy that lived in Baltimore, but I got to the final stage where it was down to me and another guy to take that over for the Orioles. So it was a fun little experience. Unfortunately, it came from the Orioles screwing me out of my season tickets, and that hurts, but what it means really is I took that money that I would normally spend on season tickets and it's gone set aside because I'm going to be up there for playoff baseball. So I'll spend that money on playoff baseball. And it means that maybe instead of going to Camden Yards for a series, I might go to Tampa. I might go to Boston. I might go to another stadium with some of that money that I would have spent in Baltimore.
That was a real cool exchange that you just had. So at the same time expressing your love for the team, at the same time calling them turkeys.
Well, yeah,
My
and that's
mother
the
would.
thing is, I
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
love the team. I love the players. I have no issues with that. They brought some out of town people in to run the business side of the game. And the business side, fans never like the business side. The business side is designed to screw the fan. And the Orioles, it went beyond that with dynamic pricing. You want to have some fun. Try to go on the Orioles website and play with ticket prices and look at the price difference between a normal game versus a Hawaiian shirt game versus the Tupac bobblehead game. They are fluctuating prices based on demand. So if there's a high demand for tickets for that game, those upper deck tickets could be $110. Yet if it's a game no one's interested in, the same exact seat is $30. That's not good for fans.
I know my wife years ago, she used to work at the stadium, and knowing I watch baseball, she'd always ask me, are the Red Sox here or the Yankees here? Because that's when the tickets will go up and more people would spend money and all that. That kind of goes
Yes,
to what you just said.
exactly.
Let me ask you a
But
question, and let me ask you this question with all humility. With that, do those guys know who you were before this? And
the
I don't mean
Orioles,
that. You know what I mean when I say
yeah,
that? Like, do they
yeah.
know what they have
I
known you guys before that?
I don't know. I've been told. I know we were written up once in Baltimore Magazine once listed us as Section 336 is the podcast you have to listen to for the Orioles. And in that article, they wrote that they've even been told that Masson employees and Orioles employees in the warehouse listen to Section 336. Have they reached out to me personally? No. So I don't have that relationship. We have had that relationship in the past with prior regimes. There used to be a guy named Trip Norton who was right below Dan Duquette, and we would meet with him every spring training. We'd go down to Sarasota and sit down with him. So we've had relationships in the past, but Orioles don't care about a podcast. They think they can just make their own in-house podcast and it be the same. They don't treat
Why
podcasts.
not? Why wouldn't they want? That's kind of where I'm a little lost. Why wouldn't they want to get you guys on the side of? I'll be nice to talk about their podcast on Mass and what I think.
No,
It is not as good as a lot of the things I've seen. Go ahead.
They don't care. And I'll tell you, there's some good guys over there. Jeff Arnold, I know he just got let go. I really enjoy him on the broadcast. He's became a friend through 336. We have been invited. I've played in the media softball games for like the Frederick Keys, Bowie Bay Sox and stuff. So we've gotten friendlier with the minor league guys, but it's really just they don't care. They're trying to control the media as much as they can. Remember, Masson is owned by them. So School of Rock, the number one blog for the Orioles, is technically owned by the Orioles. So they only do the media that they really feel they have to do. And that is WBAL, the Baltimore Sun. The Banner has worked their way in there, but only because it was people that previously had relationships. And let's be real.
Well,
the other thing is,
and it's. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You were talking.
Well, and the other thing is, Matt and I speak with emotion. So if we're pissed off at the Orioles, we're going to make it clear. If the Orioles lost in embarrassing fashion, we're going to yell and complain about the Orioles. You're not going to see the takes that we have on these legacy medias because they play the game to get the attention, to be invited to these things.
Well, and it's not even just the relationships you mentioned, which is true. Guys like Jeff Arnold and Scott Garceau, and they work for a team and know the team. But there's a lot of money those corporations are spending with the team. They kind of don't talk about
100%.
that part. They're spending like Channel 2, Channel 11, they spend millions of dollars with the Orioles in marketing and all tickets and all that other stuff as well. Whereas, me and you, we're going to talk more about it, maybe a little more thoroughly, but giving them millions of dollars. They don't have any reason in particular to do that.
I can't afford that billboard out in the bullpen. I can't afford an ad in Orioles magazine. So yeah, they don't care. It all comes down to money.
One more thing, as far as that goes, World Series baseball. You talked about it. The AL East is still, I think, might be the best division in all of baseball this year.
Agreed.
The Sox have gotten better this year. The Yankees have been really good. We know Toronto was in the World Series, and Tampa's always better than you think. I mean, usually. So,
Yes.
despite the changes, is this the Orioles as far as postseason? What would you rate it if you think that they could go ahead and get there?
Oh, I think postseason, I'd say 90% chance we're in the postseason. I'm real high on postseason. And I think once you get to the postseason, it depends on health and how you're doing. But I'm real high on this team this year. I think this is a better team than we saw Buck Showalter ever have. And he had success. This is the best team we've had personnel wise, probably in my fanhood as a Orioles fan. So I'm excited. I think this team could do it all.
I think a lot of fans are excited as well. I think I agree though they had to do something. I think they were going to lose a lot of people. David Rubenstein was going to lose a lot of people as well in that. Have you had a chance to meet the owner? I mean, you've actually been at the games. No,
I have not.
What do you think of him so far? I don't have any problems with
I have no problem with him. All right.
Go ahead.
He's a fan of the team. I love that. I hate the look of making him his own bobblehead immediately. I hate the look of him I'm out in the splash or whatever they call it, the bird bath. I hate all that. But I have no problem with him as the owner. And the truth is, if I own the baseball team, I might want to do that fun stuff too.
Oh, I do. I agree with that. He's a lifelong Baltimorean and he likes baseball. I think that's a thing. I think David Rubenstein will go to games and has been to games without owning the team there as well.
Right. Exactly. And you know what? He signed Pete Alonso to show he's willing to spend money.
Yeah, a lot of people think, and I'm not sure I agree, that it's him wanting to spend more than Mike Elias. Elias wants to do the money ball and all that, etc. And Rubenstein is all in. I mean, these guys are rich, man. I mean, all these owners now, like Peter Angelos is probably the poorest owner in the league, relatively speaking. Multimillionaire, but he didn't have $1 billion. Like the sixth guy in this investment group for the Orioles has Michael Arrighetti and all that, etc. So, I think better. All right, I paused it for a second. All right, but Michael, but the better than what we had for sure as ownership group as well. Anything if you heard anything about the Angelos since they left? It's almost as like they're went into thin air. The Angelos sons.
No, they just became irrelevant. The only reason we cared about him was them because they owned our team. Now they can go down. I think down in Nashville they're doing stuff, and that's fine. Do what you want to do. You're out of my life.
Tell the people, thank you very much. I told y'all, the Oriole knowledge right off the top of his head in the car, rattled it off. Right? Everything.
We don't use notes when we do our podcast. We lead by emotion and by heart, and that means we get things wrong sometimes, but we try to look things up if we're really being serious about something. But it is.
I saw your show. I've seen it. Yeah, with Pigtown Sports, he asked for a format. You're like, what?
Yeah,
like,
that 100%. We used to make show sheets and notes and say what we're going to talk about. I'll tell you, this afternoon I was hanging out with my brother and we recorded a podcast, and then Matt said, "Well, what are we going to talk about?" I said, "Spring training starts Monday." It's like, all right, and we just sit down and we start talking. Because because we're brothers, we're texting nonstop about it. And really, when we get to record the show, it's catching up and talking Orioles like we love to anyway. And that's where the show became. The show 336 became out of our love and passion and been like, hey, let's record this and see if anyone cares. And it turns out people do. So, we don't use notes. We talk a lot of passion, but we do prepare. And I think we do. There's other podcasts out there. We stick around because we're different than all of the others.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for everything you're doing, keeping it thorough. Interesting story as well with the Orioles. Tell all the people where we can catch Section 336 and everything else you're doing.
Yeah. Section336.com is that website. The MichaelMayersShow.com is my daily show. If you don't care about the Orioles, give that a try. And if you need a podcast, I've helped out so many Baltimore sports podcasts and radio guys move into podcasting through my company, the podcasterswarehouse.com. So, and you can, of course, follow me on Twitter at Josh Sroka.
And are you still making t-shirts out there as well? You were making t-shirts.
I am. I've been making t-shirts and I've been selling my designs to Breaking Tea. I'm considering not doing that this year and doing something on my own. So just stay tuned. We'll see. It's either going to be on Breaking Tea or on my own.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, all of you out there. So definitely y'all soaked up all that knowledge from, like I said, the OG of the Orioles podcast space as well. Thank all of you as well. Definitely check us out here on Ravori Sports Conversation. We're going to be doing this as well every week as best we can. We're going to be going ahead and talking to great media personalities like this one, Josh Sroka from Section 336. Thank you guys for joining us here today. Enjoy the rest of your day.